Well, hello, YouTubers, Facebook, Patreon, and Twitter. This is Katherine Johnson, servant of the Lord. Thank you for tuning into my channel. Well, if you like what you hear, give me a thumbs up. If you really like it, subscribe. Well, about a week ago, I came to you talking about Chicago shootings. A Chicagoan speaks. And God wanted me to do a part two of that, just to talk more about the ongoing violence, the rioting, looting, the shootings that are going on, and kind of reiterate what I had mentioned in my first video. So I want you to listen to that one. It was a little bit hard for me to talk about it because some things, especially my brother's passing, I thought I had really forgotten, but some of those pains are still there. I understand a lot of people that have lost loved ones in the city of Chicago. Sometimes the pain doesn't go away. You know, you just go on in life and you remember the good times. So I just wanted to say that before I continue on talking about my hometown, Chicago. Now, just recently, we had 15 people shot at a funeral. It was gang retaliation. That was about a week ago. And then this following weekend, I think it was early Sunday morning. No, it was early Monday morning. Apparently, there was looting on the Magnificent Mile, which is a beautiful part of the city. It's the high-end store shopping in the city of Chicago. There was a lot of looting, and there's been looting there before. And it was in response to a black man being shot in Inglewood. They said he didn't have a gun. Well, they're still investigating that situation, but there was a Facebook gathering discussion about it, and a group of looters drove down Magnificent Mile and just looted. It's disheartening to watch that. It breaks my heart. As a Chicagoan, I am very, very upset about this. I'm embarrassed in a way, but then I'm not. You know, some Chicagoans would tell you that you become desensitized to a lot of the violence here. I mean, a lot of people don't understand it, but to live here and survive, you develop a callousness, a thick skin. You're desensitized. I have even observed people myself talking about a shooting as if it was just no big deal, no emotions. But that's how you deal in areas, especially areas where there's lawlessness, where there's so much crime and poverty and a ghetto type of environment where there's a low morale and people don't have healthy self-esteem, nor do they feel like they can come out of that. Now, that's another thing I wanted to talk about, because when we left the projects, public housing, there were a lot of families that left also after we left. Some of them left prior to what we left, and some of them did lose loved ones due to the gangs, the shooting. There were drugs issues, prostitution. There was other things I didn't mention in the first post I did. But there were other things that were going on. And I had friends that were good friends. And I had friends that were pregnant before they were a teenager, 11, 12-year-old pregnancies. And they were unwed mothers. And some of them didn't make it out. They succumbed to drug abuse, so they were killed. So it was very difficult. You know, living in certain areas that are blighted, it is a hell hole. That's what I would say. And because of Christ being in my life, God showed us a way to get out. He showed us a window. He gave us a way of escape, if I can say that. But I know what it feels like. I've had friends when I was young. I lost a good friend to gun violence. She was killed by in my high school, before I graduated from high school, I had a friend, a good friend that was gunned down. She was murdered. And so I've experienced a lot of deaths as a young child. And I thank God for knowing Jesus, because I believe that's what helped me through all of it. It was very traumatic. You want to know what a jungle is? There's certain areas of Chicago. You go into them, you'll know what a jungle is. You'll know what it is to live. It's a survival thing. And some people don't think they'll make it out. And I've heard even now some young men tell me they don't think they're going to make it to 21, and they're 16. And I argue with them, and then sometime later I find that they were killed in gun violence. So I wanted to talk more about Chicago. That what I do want to ask those that are listening to this and those that have commented. I had a gentleman from Detroit that commented, and I thank you for your comments. It was very nice for you to even comment. But he was paying attention to the Chicago violence, and he lives in Detroit, and they have their issues there too. So that's something that I'm seeing, that a lot of other cities have their problems too. It's just concentrated in certain cities. We just don't hear about it. But Chicago, the shootings are escalating. And as I've lived in several neighborhoods in the city of Chicago, especially the South Side, I'm very familiar with the lingo and the people. I do go back from time to time, but because of the shootings, I don't visit a lot of areas. But I remember when those areas were flourishing. Inglewood, 63rd and Halsted. You could go up there. People would come from all parts of the city, north, south, east, and west, to buy over on 63rd and Halsted. They had everything. I remember those days. There were other areas that were well known. They were flourishing. There was a lot going on in our Black communities, and I could see the change when the drugs came in, when the gangs came in, the prostitution. You could see the change. You could see the enemy taking over. You could see the death that came in. Saints, if you're listening, this is real. The devil is real. He came into Chicago. He came in. And just by the grace of God, he was not able to take it over. Now, you've heard about Al Capone. There were times, yes, I wasn't here, but my mother would give me accounts of it, of how, there were shootouts, just like they have now. They would shoot into crowds and people would die, innocent people would die. And that's what we're seeing now. Children are being killed. They can't come outside and play for fear of being killed. That's the fear I talked about in my first post that I did, video. It's a fear that paralyzes you. It grabs you. It keeps you from moving. It's a snare. It's a trap. Unless you have a change of mindset. Unless you know God. And see, that's what I see in Chicago, is there's a need for a change of the mindset. And I know that can only come through knowing God and knowing what his word says. Because God will give you a change of mind. He'll give you wisdom if you ask for it. Now, I know there are others that are speaking about Chicago, and I've been listening to their videos. And we're all coming out because we need to talk. The Inglewood needs to talk with the Gold Coast. The Latinos need to talk with the African Americans. The Chinese need to talk to the Caucasians. The Caucasians need to talk with the African Americans. We need, Rogers Park needs to talk with other areas. Pilsen, Little Italy needs to talk. We all need to talk. I mentioned about in the first video about the city of Chicago is very diverse. And one thing I notice is when we have these festivities, these different sports, you see all races, and they're all cheering for the same team. And we're sitting side by side. And we're able to talk. Like I said, we're very friendly. We talk to one another. And yes, there's some issues with race. I'm not going to say there's not. There are issues. There are people here that are narrow minded. I'm sure there are issues like that in your cities. We have problems with our police. We've had a lot of scandals like there are in every other city. It's a high concentration of it. And that's what God is concerned about. So, what I want to ask from you that are listening, please pray for our city. Please pray for those that are raising their voices up to encourage this city that we can do better, that our young black men don't have to die every day. They don't have to be gunned down, shot down like rabbits, like dogs in the street. That's not the type of life we had years ago. Like I mentioned years ago, a lot of the people in Chicago were in the churches. You see a lot of churches, probably one on every block when you come in the city, because people would go. God ushered us into his presence. Even if they didn't want to go, you would see pimps and prostitutes in the churches. Years ago, it was fascinating. Yeah, there were things happening, but it was something about God being present where the spirit of the Antichrist could not come in. And then the people rebelled against God. They went into other religions. And the change happened. The enemy came in and took over, he thinks. But it's not over, Chicagoans. Those of you that are listening, it's not over. Those of you that lost loved ones, it's not over. Some of you want to leave. You know, God may tell you to leave, but it's not over. Some of you that are born and raised here, like me, and you gonna stick it out. You may be white, black, Chinese. It's not over. God got his hand on this city. And I know those of you that are angry, you lost your businesses, you know, you've been looted, and my heart goes out to you. And it was wrong what they did, because they used that situation with this black man getting shot as an excuse to come and steal from you. And that's wrong. And they need to be dealt with. They need to be punished. And God is going to make sure of that. But I want you to hear the hearts of those that know it's wrong. We stand with you. And some of you are disgusted. You want to get out of here. And if that's what you need to do, then go. But some of you that want to stay because you see what we see. This is a beautiful city. It's breathtaking. You made a life decision to stay here like me. And we're going to work together. We're going to meet each other. We're going to talk like we normally do. We're strangers, but we really know each other. That's the town-like atmosphere of this city. We're going to focus on the good things. We're going to deal with the bad. But we're going to take it to the Lord in prayer. And we're going to reconcile with our young people. I believe God is going to bring mentors. He's going to talk to these gang members. It's time out for being afraid. You know, as a child of God, you can't fear. But we're going to walk in love, because this is what this city needs right now. We need to love these young people, because we're in a COVID crisis. A lot of them have lost their jobs. They're still not excused to loot and steal from other people. That's not the kind of city we are. We're a city that works. People work. These young black people, you see a lot of them had jobs. They work. They were driving nice cars. That's somebody's car that probably was working. So we have work to do. Those that are willing to stay behind. But there's going to come a meeting of the minds, and God is going to set up the meeting that we realize how, I don't care how rich you are, because we have millionaires here, and a lot of them are staying. And I would encourage you to stay, because Chicago is going to rise, and you'll see that it was worth it all to endure all that was happening. We just actually use wisdom, okay? Because we know what's going on. The devil's busy, but God is coming on the scene. And some of you don't know God, but after, eventually you will. But you have a conscience. You know what is right and wrong. And you know what's going on is wrong. Our city needs to heal. Not a Band-Aid. We need to get to the root of the problem. Because these riots and looting is for a reason. It's not right. I don't advocate it at all. It's wrong, but there's a reason for it. There are voices that are speaking. We need to hear them whether we agree with them or not. Maybe there's something we can do, or just the fact to listen. Some people just want to be heard. I'm just being honest. The Holy Spirit is talking. So, North Side, East, West Chicago. I love you all. I know you like the back of my hand. And I'm going to pray for you, pray for me, and know that God is going to rise this city up. It is a great city.